everybody, this is Pam with Jesusjunkjournals, and we are going to start on the next journal kit, which is the Hope Mini Journal. And so you have, I cut mine out. Hopefully you've gotten yours cut out. Now what I do so I don't lose things is I cut things out and then leave them until I'm ready to use them. But I've got all the little pieces cut. And so now I've got the pages. There's 8. Is there 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there's 8 double pages. And so before I fold them, I'm going to take care of the white on the back because it'll be easier before I fold them up and put them in a signature. So I'm going to do 4 of them with stencils and that sort of thing. And then 4 of them, I'm going to do some of the techniques I've been using on the Jesus Art Journal. If you haven't seen the Jesus Art Journal series of videos, it's all about using your art supplies and playing around with them and learning about them. So I'm going to do what I've learned from that on these 4. So that means I'm going to gesso them. So let me get my gesso and my credit card, my art credit card. And I'm going to start just this. What this does is it seals the paper so that the different sprays and paints that I put on won't seep through and ruin the print on the other side. And it also makes the different art supplies I'm going to use act differently. When you use mica sprays and those Distress Oxide sprays that Tim Holtz makes, you really need to seal it with something for them to shine, so to speak. I'm using my art journal as a background on this because I'm gonna gesso this anyway, so if there's any gesso that gets put on here, it's for the good. Doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so I think I got that one. When you do this, just turn it in the light, make sure that you get the gesso everywhere you want it to go. So I'm going to let those pages dry, and I can go on with these other ones, and I am going to use some, I've got quite a few new stencils, so I'm going to use those. Okay, I've got more stencils than I have paper, and actually I should probably start with lemonade. I don't know that the yellow's going to show that much, but I'm going to go ahead and lay down some yellow and just see what happens. I also got some new paint, and it's the Delusions paints by, not Tim Holtz, but, oh, I'm going to get the name wrong, Dina. And I don't remember her last name. I know you guys probably all know who she is and are horrified, but I got a whole bunch of her paints, and I bought them before I knew what they did. And so they require the dauber like this, and you have to mix the paint on a little palette. Okay, so I laid some yellow down here, and it's not very visible, but that's okay. It'll get through. There'll be little touches of yellow. I think I'm going to use this. Do I want to use that? Maybe not. That's a little wonky for this. This is a little more structured. What I'm considering is the fact that these are old, kind of vintage-looking designs, and I don't want to get something too modern and crazy, you know, to go with it. These are the Delusions paint. They're made to stand on their lid. They're hard to get into. They have a little BB in them to mix the paint. Okay, so this one is rose quartz. And I'll go ahead and wipe the paint off at the lid. Okay, so back to what I was doing. I had to open some of these up. So this one is a light pink. I've also got a deeper pink, and it's cherry pie. You rub your dauber onto, and this is yellow. Let me switch paper here because this is the yellow in this Delusions. So see, it's a lot brighter. or at least that one is. I'm going to do the pink over the yellow with another stencil. And I'm going to use this one, which should give me quite a bit of ink. So I'm going to start with this light pink. And it is light. That is interesting. So, oh, no, it's not. Okay. And here we go. All right. So I can always go back with white gesso and knock it back if I need to. But that's what it is. So I'm going to let that dry. And it dries kind of chalky, kind of, I don't know, like I said, sort of remind me of tempera paint in a way. But let me get a different stencil. Using Tim Holtz. I don't know what the name of that one is, but it's sort of got a paisley. So you rub it in. So I'm just moving it around, giving it kind of a stippled look with these stencils. And I'm going to use, I think I will use this again. And I'm going to leave some white space because I want to decoupage with napkins. So I can leave that space for that. And I'll use this other stencil again on this. Okay, so, ooh, I've got the darker pink. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to use the same daughter because I'm going to have to wash it out anyway. So I'm going to be brave and lay down some dark pink or bright, deeper pink, I guess the way would be, you could say. Okay, so those are going to dry. Wash these out. So these paints are all water soluble. Okay, so I've got these 4 sheets now, and I'm going to use some product that I haven't used before again, and that is some Delusions Shimmer Spray. Now these Delusions are super bright, so I'm expecting I will have to go down with some, take them down in intensity with some gesso. Okay, so I'm just going to try spraying some of this Delusion spray. This is the Calypso Teal. So, ooh, yeah, pretty intense. Good thing I've got the gesso on so that didn't bleed through. Okay, so I've got a blue. I'm going to try this hot pink. Ought to be interesting. And I'm going to try this kind of crazy pattern. For that one. And I think I'll try the green. Fresh Lime is this one. It's a little more subtle. It goes everywhere though. all these sprays seem like they go everywhere though, so that's nothing unusual. So I'm gonna let those dry. Oh, here's one I haven't done yet. And I think I will use a different type. I'm gonna use the Glimmer Mist from the Tattered Angels. This one's called Coral Reef. kind of a peachy, orangey color. That's pretty. That is the 4 that had the gesso background. Okay, so I'm going to do some decoupage with these stenciled pages I just did. So I'm taking a piece of washi tape. If you've never done napkins, I just did we just had a napkin trade on our Facebook group, Jesus Junk Journal Creators. And so I've got some new napkins to work with, which is kind of exciting. So if you've never done decoupage, napkins have usually 2 layers of tissue on the backs, and you need to separate them because you only want that top layer. So you do it, the easiest way I've found is to use a piece of washi tape or scotch tape and just stick it on there, pull it off, and you can save these for other projects. And so there's that one ready. My dog's snoring over in the background, sorry about that. My husband's downstairs, but they don't want to sit with my husband. They want to sit with me. And I'll bet you guys all know what I'm talking about. If you have dogs, they seem like they go with the mom. They go with the woman. So they're all up here in my craft room with me. All these bright colors kind of cheer me up. I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of nice to see some sort of spring colors, even though it's the dead of winter. These napkins had some pinks and yellows on them, so I thought they might work. Probably won't use them all, of course, but I'm going to get them ready, so I'll have them about that. There. One of my good friends from Kansas City came down. We've been crafting for the last few days. Ann Adams, and she was a hand lettering artist at Hallmark for a long time. So that's where I met her. And I think I'm going to save this one. I think I have enough. And then I'm going to use, this says Mod Podge. It's not. It's Pam Podge. I didn't invent it. It's been around for a long time. The homemade recipe for your Mod Podge is just 2 parts white glue and 1 part water. And it works just the same. So I just have this old brush that's of no use, and I just put it in water and it wakes back up because it's got Mod Podge on it. And it just melts when you put it in water if you let it soak for just a minute. So I'm gonna start with these. Now, tell you what I'm going to do. I have a step in between because I know what's going to happen when I hit this paint with water. It's going to go nuts. So I'm going to actually take clear gesso and coat this with that to seal it. And that's even going to cause it to have a meltdown, literally. Okay. So see how it's kind of softening the stencil and even kind of coming off on the brush. I'm not going to worry about that. The reason I'm doing this is because the Mod Podge is going to wake that back up. Any kind of liquid will wake that paint back up and interacts with it. And I don't necessarily want my napkins to interact with those. So I'm going to let this be a barrier. I'm not getting it completely coated. I know there's holes in it, but that's okay. I have the main part of it covered, I believe. So clear gesso to seal it. Ooh, that's really... And the more you brush, the more it does it. So I'm going to stop, let that dry. Now I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to take white gesso and I'm going to put just a little bit on it to break up the color because napkins really only show on white. I mean, you know, show completely. So I'm going to put just a little bit of white gesso on this wax palette that I've got from the Dollar Tree store for $1. And, you know, at this point you may be saying, well, this is a lot of time and trouble, but you don't have to do all this. I'm just trying to do everything there is to do so you can see what you might want to do. What you might not want to do is make a big mess. So I'm just going to put a little bit of white gesso on here. Kind of knock this, ooh, especially on this one because it's a little intense. So this one's, I think I'll leave this one alone. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, and then this really bright blue I used. And part of it is because I use those Delusions paints, which are very intense, that I had not used before. Now I know. But I don't mind it with this, with the gesso over it, I think. So okay, so again, I'm going to let that dry. And then we're actually going to decoupage, promise. So we're going to decoupage, finally. And I think I'm going to, this is still pretty intense, so I think I'm going to even put a couple of layers of this plain tissue from the back of the napkin on here and see how that, if that'll mute it down a little bit more. Oh, and so for those of you who have never decoupaged, if there are any out there, you just basically put the Mod Podge on, put your tissue on, and then go over it with Mod Podge some more. And you do want to seal your paper. If you don't, you need to not be so liberal with this glue like I am, because it's very wet and it will bleed through to the other side where you've printed, and it'll make your prints mushy. They won't have sharp lines. So be sure you seal it with gesso if you want to, you know, do a lot of heavy decoupage work. If you don't, you can just be real careful and just do it real light, and that works fine. So I've put some white down just to kind of, hopefully when it dries it will make it less blue. And this is Tim Holtz tissue paper, in case you don't recognize it. So I'm just going to tear some of that and add that too. Now, like I said, the napkins take the color from the background. So if you don't have a white background, they're going to be the color of whatever's behind them. So I don't know if this will, see how it makes the pink flower purple. I'm picking this because it has a blue bird, so I thought it might go with it a little bit better. So I will probably, when this is all dry, I am probably going to go over it with some white gesso and really, really knock it back. Just because I think it's a little much. Well, Yeah, I'm not going to decoupage much more on that. I think it's going to need some white brought back into it. So I'm going to try the pink and see. I think this will be a little bit better. I'd rather have it over the edge just slightly because you can always trim it. Use a little bit more of this Tim Holtz tissue. The napkins absorb the glue a lot better than this tissue paper does. It resists a little bit more, so you kind of want to get it on this. You don't really even have to put the glue under it. You can put it on and put the glue over it, and it will seep through it and glue to your background. The tissue, you kind of need to have the glue on the background when you lay it on if you want it to really stick well. Now I'm going to try some of this yellow napkin. I'm not sure. I have a feeling it's going to turn it orange, but we will see. Tear this. Try it with these pink flowers maybe. See. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to stop with that one. And this one, I'm going to try this same yellow napkin. I think it might be better. We'll see how it does. Yeah, see how the delicate yellow background actually shows on this one because there's so much white on the background. Okay, so the only one I have left is the green, and I have a feeling it may be a similar thing to the blue. We'll see. I'm going to put this design on there and see what happens. Oh, that's pretty good. That came out pretty good, so. All right, I think I'll try another chunk of that napkin. Okay, so we finally got our decoupage done. I'm going to let them dry and trim them up and see what we need to do from there. But I think that's it for this video. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, please click the like button. Think about subscribing, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.